Hi, I'm Paul at Vida Health Spa. This is my buddy Greg Lovato, trainer, friend, gym owner, ex-business partner, business partner, name it all.
Yep, pretty much. He got it. So business partner and ex-business partner, believe it or not. But yeah. Greg Lovato, GVL Fitness, owner of the Warehouse Gym in Carroll Stream.
There you go. Said it better than I did.
I tried.
So, Greg, let's talk testosterone. I know you and I have many years of testosterone experience. You have a lot of clients on testosterone?
Correct.
And testosterone replacement? I guess you could say both because they...
Well, only on testosterone replacement.
Yeah. You have a lot of clients on peptides, I'm sure, too.
Correct.
So let's dive into that and like give me your thoughts on the stigma of testosterone now. Everybody seems to be on it. It's the social media, probably why, because of social media. But tell me what you think and the benefits that you see your clients and friends yourself.
Yeah, so I think that there's a lot more people on it now than there ever was. However, I still think that there's a lot of people that they see all of the stuff on social media because information is now so much more accessible that they're interested in it, yet there's so many fears about it because there's so many misconceptions, right? So I have a lot of clients on it because I'm able to educate them on it and then obviously sell them to professionals like you and your staff and be able to make them a little bit more comfortable in a professional setting and talk about the pros and cons and how you guys are going to be able to, treat them for low T as well as battle side effects and things like that. But there's still so many people out there that just don't know enough. And I think that if they knew the true benefits and the actual low risk in taking it, there'd be so much more people involved with it,
Yeah.
Like I have people that come in all the time and obviously, so I'm a trainer, health coach, whatever you want to call it. And there's so many people that come to me and I know right off the bat, their testosterone has crashed. They're in their mid 40s. They've had a bad diet their whole life, bad workout habits their whole life, abused drugs or alcohol or both. They're constantly lethargic. They have low libidos. They have no motivation, low self-esteem, things like that. So right in my head, right off the bat, I know that there's a great chance that they're probably needing a little bit of TRT. However, I tell them before work with me, the first thing that we do with anybody, no matter what you come to me for, is I have you go get a full blood panel. So I typically send them over to you guys.
Yeah, we
have them come and 9 out of 10 times they are suffering from low T, or even if their T isn't a good low range or a good range, maybe their free test is horrible or their estrogen is super high or things like that. But those who actually get over the fear of beginning it, once they start, 4, 6, 8 weeks in, it's life-changing for them.
Yeah. You think your clients that are all over 30 that are needing it, or you think you got younger guys that need it now?
Well, the younger guys that I think need it are more so just
guys that abused it?
Guys who abused it. They got into bodybuilding incorrectly, just going off of YouTube videos and things like that and abusing drugs way too early at way too high doses, and they shut themselves down by using an exogenous form, right? So for those of you who don't know, when you're taking an exogenous form of testosterone,
what does
it's
that
basically...
Explain that, because nobody's going to know what that means.
An outside source. So enclomiphene is a TRT product that you guys use, right? That's going to pulse your natural test production, right? So it's going to get the most out of what your body could actually make itself.
Yeah.
An exogenous form is basically a chemical-based testosterone that you're injecting into your body, and it's now telling your body, it's sending a signal to the pituitary gland saying, hey, we're making enough tests on our own now, so we could shut down. So basically, you're going to have testicular atrophy and you're going to have hypogonadism because it's going to shut down your natural test production, right? Yeah. So a lot of these guys who abuse steroids early or do things incorrectly or don't post psychotherapy correctly, they're going to end up in that situation where they have low T. So those are a lot of the guys that you see in their early 20s who need it. And they think, because I did 4 weeks of a PCT, like I'm perfectly fine now.
I did climate HCG, I'm good now.
Exactly.
I'm back to normal.
And they probably were on some garbage stuff, not through a pharmacy, that they thought they were taking a proper post-psychotherapy, but it really wasn't, So that's a lot of the times I see with the younger people, or just there are some young people who actually need it based on, there's genetics that play a role, right? There's some people who just naturally have low T, have high estrogen production, things like that. So they could definitely benefit from it. But the majority of the younger people, sub 30 years old that I see, they're typically people who just lived a very unhealthy lifestyle, meaning drugs, steroids, alcohol, bad diets, things like that.
Yeah, I think we've had one person ever come in here that was over 40, that had normal testosterone. Maybe
Yeah, I mean, it's rare.
But it's really rare. It is, you're right.
Typically, you'll see a drop off in males about 30 years old, but typically 35 and higher, it's more common.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the times that I see with even my guys who aren't bodybuilders. Like a lot of people who know me, they know that I work with a lot of bodybuilding clients, but I still work with, I'd say probably 60% of my clientele is weight loss clients. And I have men in their 40s, 50s coming to me. I want to lose weight. I want to lose weight. Nothing's working. And their metabolism is just crashed, right? They have no appetite. They have no energy. Their recovery is garbage, right? And again, we send them in here. They get blood work. They're at 120 nanograms a deciliter. They're tested with a free test and things like that. And, they're still hesitant at times to get on testosterone because a big misconception is I don't want to take steroids, right?
Well, everybody thinks testosterone replacement is steroids.
And it's not, right? So it's replacement therapy.
Correct.
So it's trying to get you into an optimal range where you might have been in your late teens, early 20s, things like that. So, people think like, oh, well, if I get on TRT, people are going to think that I'm cheating or I'm on steroids or I'm going to look like a bodybuilder. I don't want to do that. But you're not going to. Bodybuilders are not taking a TRT dosing, right? Yeah. They might be doing that in their off cycle, right? They're blasting and cruising, right?
Yeah. And they're still doing more than TRT.
Most are. If they're doing it the right way, they're not. But most are, right?
We know.
But if they're actually doing a testosterone therapy dose, right, or a therapeutic dose, it's just to get them to the high levels of optimal, right? So you're not going to be sitting in the 2,000s, 3,000 nanogram a deciliter. Maybe you're that 800 to 1,000, 1,100. I don't know where you guys focus on seeing your clients. I know where you guys have gotten my clients.
I think that our NP wants everybody 700, 800, 900, 1,000. I think when you get over, 1,100, 1,200, now you're talking cardiac issues.
And that's what I figured, like 800 to 1,100.
And estrogen issues. We don't want that.
Exactly, And that's the thing, though. They think that they're going to be this superhuman if they do it, and they don't want people to have this, just bad aura against them. And, you look good now because you're using steroids and things like that. But they don't realize we're just getting you healthy. They don't realize the negative side effects of having low T, the effect on the internal organs.
It's like people don't understand having low T. It's actually so bad for you.
Yeah, I have a buddy who he's 40 years old, and I mean he's been having trouble sticking to diets. He loses motivation, no appetite whatsoever. His sleep is garbage, body is always achy, and I keep saying, hey, you need TRT. And he sent me his blood work. He actually got it here, but he doesn't want to do it, right? He's got this big
Well, there's a big negative on, I got to get a shot every week. I have to get
exactly.
Once I'm on it, I'm going to pass out.
Once I'm on it for life and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, if you want to feel good and feel healthy, you will be on it for life. Do you need to be? No. But once you realize what it feels like to feel optimal again, Correct. You're not going to want to go backwards, right?
Yeah.
We're with TRT, and that's
your
why
wife won't leave you.
Well, that too. It's going to increase libido for sure, But you're also not just going to be a lazy ass around the house. You're going to want to do more. You're not going to be falling asleep on the couch, things like that. And so that's why I try and get a lot of my guys in here to talk to your professionals, get healthy, and understand the fact that TRT is actually making them a healthier individual.
For sure.
They don't realize that having low T is making put it in layman's terms, right? If you're 40 years old and you're now running on, let's say your total test is 200, right? But it used to be 800. You're now working at 25% of the hormones that you used to, right? Estrogen is probably higher. Test is way lower. Your body's going to fight to recover, okay? But guess what? You're 40 years old, so you have a lot more responsibility. Okay?
Correct. A lot more stress. You probably have kids.
You probably have kids. You probably have a job or a business or things that you're juggling, whatever. You're doing way more now on way less hormones. So it's going to take years off your life.
Yeah.
I think, and again, this is my personal opinion, and a lot of studies will prove this, but actually being on TRT and getting into an optimal range is actually going to add years to your life, opposed to people who are overweight and suffer from low T.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. Because I know what I feel like when my...
Yeah, I mean, so I got blood work here about 5 weeks ago.
Yeah, you were about an 80-year-old man.
Yeah, I was at 116 nanograms a deciliter. My free test was, do you remember?
Like 5?
Yeah, it was bad, low. Right?
He's basically a woman.
And I purposely did it, though, because my years...
His wife has higher testosterone than him. It's okay.
Well, not anymore.
Not anymore.
But I figured my years of bodybuilding were over, and I finally wanted to get a script and get healthy and feel good again, right? So
I think that's the biggest thing with us. Like when we were younger, we both did our body. Well, I wasn't a bodybuilder, but I did my thing. And
you bodybuild without the stage.
Correct. And I shut myself down. That was a fact because when I was, I'm 42, 43 almost. So I think my first time I ever did like blood work for my hormones, I was 30, right? My testosterone, and I was not on anything, was 117. And I felt horrible. Yeah. And that was a year off. I didn't take anything. I mean, 117, I didn't want to go to the gym.
So mine, oddly enough, was 116 or whatever we said it was, 116 or 119. I know it was under 120, right? So right where you are, but yours was a year off. Mine was like 8 weeks off of trying to bodybuild again. Yeah. You know what I mean? So like, I can't imagine what it would be being a year off. But so it's been now 4 weeks of being back on just 200 milligrams of Cypionate a week, right? And I feel way better. Yeah. My recovery is already better. My sleep is better. My energy is better. Libido is better. You feel human again, you know? Yeah. When you're suffering from low T, a lot of people think that they're just, living this crazy, just stressful life or whatever. Well, no, you're just not functioning properly internally, you know?
For sure.
And I think if more people understood that, more people would be willing to seek the help from professionals like you guys, and they'd be way healthier. They'd be better parents. They'd be better workers or coworkers or business owners, better husbands, So I just think, again, there's information out there, but there's a lot of wrong information out there.
Yeah, I think social media ruined it and made it mainstream. And there's so many guys out there promoting these crazy cycles. And the problem with the young kids, they're all trying to get like that. That's a whole different thing. Doesn't even pertain to us because we don't treat young kids. But we do get a lot of guys that are 25 and their testosterone's tanked.
So if a 25-year-old came in here with low T, can you guys treat them or no?
Yeah, our nurse will treat them. Our nurse practitioner, Katie, treats them, but not with shots. They're going to do on clomiphene. You want to do that more natural route because you don't want to shut them down if they're not. Because a lot of these 25-year-olds still want to have kids.
Yeah, and I think that's
a big.
That's one of the other things too. Is a lot of these guys in their 30s are like, oh, like I'm not done having kids and things like that. And listen, like TRT, even from an exogenous form, you're not going to chemically castrate yourself, but it's definitely going to make the process of having kids a longer and harder process. You may need to do fertility drugs and things like that, or come off your testosterone for an extended period of time and start feeling like garbage again. And, there's other approaches to it. However, I think that those younger people are going to benefit a lot more from enclomiphene because they don't have to worry about that, right? And, I think we said it earlier on in this conversation, but enclomiphene is just going to basically get the most out of what your body can naturally produce. It's not shutting you down. So you don't have to worry about hypogonadism or anything like that. Exactly. But it's still, I've seen people, I have a couple clients who are younger, they're in their mid-20s, and they're on enclomiphene from you guys. And I think one of them went from, if I remember correctly, I think he was like at 4 something, and he's almost
one of our friends.
Yeah.
He's not young. He's older.
He's not 30s, old. He's what? In his 30s, yeah.
But his testosterone went from 440 to 1,000
450.
almost.
Yeah.
But he does it right too. He also works out hard. He also
his diet is impeccable. He works out all the time. He does cardio.
And he is on peptides, Sermorelin, which does increase testosterone in some people. It's a fact.
Well, yeah, but what people don't realize, it's indirectly increasing your testosterone, right? So Sermorelin is basically mimicking growth hormone, right? So it's pulsing your natural GH. And by that, he's getting better sleep. He's getting better recovery. With better recovery, it's going to allow you to create more testosterone.
What do you think about peptides? What's your thoughts on...
I love peptides. I think everybody should be on peptides.
Okay, so what do you... Let's just square it around because some of our pharmacies and some people request real HGH. And I think that's a big thing that people don't understand what HGH does compared to peptides, because I love real HGH. I just can't afford it, even at my cost. Yeah. It's insane expensive.
Correct.
And I think some of these peptides are so close to mimicking what HGH does. Obviously,
it depends what you're trying to do, right? If you're trying to look like Ronnie Coleman, right?
I don't want to look like Ronnie Coleman.
That's what I'm saying. Obviously, using peptides to pulse GH and things like that, obviously you're not going to get the muscular growth that those professional bodybuilders are getting, right? But if you're looking for overall health and wellness, better recovery, lean muscle mass, fat loss, things like that, the right combinations of peptides, you could 100% get all of those benefits, So
you think the peptides are equivalent to if you do the right things you can match that HGH.
Yeah, I think you could definitely get close.
Yeah,
You know, for
I
sure.
agree.
Because there's so many things that you can do that mimic GH. Like a lot of these peptides are actually amino acid breakdowns that are found in HGH.
Yeah.
They're just not the total combination of everything,
Correct.
right? So,
Correct.
you know, you could definitely get close. I mean, and you know, there's people who, you know, they'll take CJC 1295 alongside of IPAM.
I think that's the number one combo now because all our pharmacists now have all CJC IPAM. It's a combo put together.
Yeah.
It's not separate. And I think that's a great peptide. I think that's probably your closest to spike your pituitary gland to produce HGH like.
Well, yeah, because I mean, so the combination is great because CJC 1295, it's going to directly pulse GH through the pituitary gland, where the IPAM is ipamorelin. For those who don't know, it's actually going to increase ghrelin, and from there, it's going to increase hunger, produce more GH pulse, etc. So the combination is amazing.
Yeah.
Now you do something like that, and then you throw like an MK in there as well.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, there's a ton of benefits.
The number one peptide out there right now is for not BP. I know BPC is the top, right?
Yeah.
Let's get rid of those. The number one HGH peptide that people are taking. You think it's sermorelin?
I was probably sermorelin.
And I think you want to know why I think
I think a lot of people, I think more people are doing CJC and IPAM. However, I think sermorelin is going to get them more of a mimic of GH on its own, right?
I think sermorelin is prescribed the most right now because it's the easiest.
I think from a prescription base. I'm talking from social media.
Okay.
You know, you see more people everywhere just advertising CJC and IPAM, right?
Yeah.
But from a prescription, like if people come in here and talk to you guys, a professional who understands the ins and outs of all these drugs,
I think that's the most known out there
for sure.
Out there for the normal patient that we see, they hear about sermorelin, right?
And correct me if I'm wrong. Sermorelin was actually
it's approved
by
the
and they're
FDA.
using it for adolescents for know growth deficiencies and things like that.
Correct.
You know, so that right there proves to you
that it works.
That it works. It definitely acts as if growth hormone would.
100%.
You know, so
what do your clients take the most? You think BPC?
So a lot of my clients take BPC 157 and TB 500. Again, as talked about in the past here, it's definitely considered the Wolverine stack. I mean, the amount of healing. So they're both healing agents, right? But I think BPC 157 is going to heal more directly to acute injuries, right? Promote, tendon healing, muscle repairs, if you had a surgery recently, things like that, even for internal organ healing, right? As more as TB 500, I think is more systemic, but the combination together,
it's just crazy.
It's insane, So I think a lot of people are doing that. And again, the CJC and IPAM together for sure.
Yeah, because I notice a lot of our pharmacies we use now, and I know Katie can double back on that CJC IPAM, it kind of went away, and now all of a sudden, like every pharmacy has it again, the combination. So they're put together. It's crazy.
What do you think caused it to go backwards?
I just think it's such a great drug combo together. Because you used to be able to get it, separate. Now all of a sudden they're all together. I mean, they got the trochets that go into your tongue. They have the injectable version. I see it everywhere now. Okay. And then sermorelin obviously is probably the most affordable out of all of them because it's mass made and it's a cheaper drug to make. I'm assuming, obviously. Okay. But I think from the standpoint, those are the three top HGH, and then throw MK in there. Yeah. MK for oral version of anything, just cranks.
100%.
But I think that's also one that if it's a bigger guy, he has to be careful because we had a patient who was taking it, and he's trying to lose weight, and he's like, I'm waking up at 3 a.m, starving, hungry, and I ate everything in my snack closet. He was at a hotel. I ate everything in the hotel snack bar that I could. I'm like, oh, man. So just stop taking that and let's switch to something else. Because you got to be careful with that. Because if you're a leaner guy, that'll be a great product.
100%. It's going to spike hunger for sure, right? Which, I mean, growth hormone in general does, right? Yeah. Or GHRP2, GHRP6, things like that, which do you prescribe that here?
No, you can't get those.
Okay, I wasn't
But I'd say MK is almost close like a GHRP6, but oral version.
For sure. So, but there's so many other benefits to MK, right? So a lot of people who, I have clients who've gotten it here who they're feeling better recovery. If they're hard gainers, their hunger is increased. They're feeling more fullness. They're getting more muscle pumps. They're almost feeling superhuman. So if you take that alongside some of these other peptides,
yeah, for sure,
and you're on TRT,
and the side effects are so minimal on the peptides, if there's any, it's flushing on the injectable ones, or they get like a little irritated where they inject it, but that's like the extent of it.
Yeah, and for MK, the only side effects that I've really had anybody complain about was hunger or headaches. But the headaches typically will come from water retention if they're gaining too quickly from starting their dose too high, because with increased water, we're going to increase blood pressure, right? Correct. So instead of an average dose of MK, typically, are we allowed to talk about that?
With the dosage?
Yeah.
Yeah, average dose is 25 milligrams.
Yeah, so a lot of people who start there, I want to say, they start smaller. They'll start at 10 or they'll start at 12.5 milligrams, then work their way up. Yeah. Some people, who are just more naturally, or their diet's not super clean and they hold a lot of water more naturally and they jump straight to 25, they gain weight super quick.
The thing is, the pharmacies that we use, I think it's basically the dose is 25 milligrams. That's what they produce, and I'm sure there's some out there that are different, but the ones that we use are 25. I think that's the average. People start at 25.
For sure, sure.
So I think the peptides benefit everybody.
Yeah, 100%. I think
women too. Women, it's huge in women too. I think that's a misconception too of women don't take peptides or. No,
I have women clients who use a lot of your guys' peptides, from CJC, IPAM to even the BPC, TB5. I have a female client who's appetite was horrible no matter what we did, and hard gainer, and she's a bodybuilder. She was using MK, and it definitely broke her plateau 100%. She actually loved it. And then even some of the more cosmetic stuff like GHK and things like that, So there's a peptide literally for everything.
That's the new buzz, GHK. It's the copper peptide that it's blown up everywhere now. Yeah. Because it really does. It's a great peptide. Yeah. For skin, everything.
You're seeing it more and more. And I think there's still some misconceptions on it, but I think that just, again, with things like this and you guys educating people, it's going to get more and more just positive light shed on it, and more people are going to be open to utilizing it, because there's just so much benefits.
It's all education. 100% education.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing when it comes to peptides. People aren't educated, and that's what we're here for. And our nurse practitioner knows all about all of them, and she's on it. So I think that's all we have for peptide talk today.
Awesome. Yeah.
All right.